What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another video. In today's video, we are here, and I'm here for my initial reactions, my takeaways from the Lions' 41-33 point loss to the San Francisco 49ers at opening week. Yeah, 41-33. So let's get it started.
Way up, we're going to bite a kneecap off, and we're going to stand up, and then it's going to take 2 more shots to knock us down. And on the way up, we're going to take your other kneecap, and we're going to get up, and then it's going to take 3 shots to get us down. And when we do, we're going to take another hunk out of you. Before long, we're going to be the last one standing.
Welcome everybody to my video. Glad you guys are here, and I am here with my initial reactions from the game. I know this video is coming out a little bit later than usual, but that is because I was at the game today. That's why we had no stream today. When I'm not at the game, we will be streaming, okay? So just keep that in mind. So yes, Monday Night Football in Green Bay next week. I'm going to be streaming that game. It's going to be hype, okay? So stay tuned for next week. We will be streaming. Now, this is my initial reactions, my takeaways, and just like the preseason, I do want to dive into the film, and that's what we'll do at the beginning of the week, and then we'll start to focus on our next matchup, which is those Green Bay Packers, who got smacked today, which made this loss feel much better. But man, wow, we got a lot of takeaways from this game. And again, I do want to dive into the film because I don't want to go off on a certain player or hype a player too much up without going into the film. But I was at the game, so, you know, it's a different point of view. You don't have the announcers. You can see a little bit more of the field. So there's different notes that I probably have than maybe if I would have watched it on TV today. But there is a lot of notes today. Obviously, the Lions got off to an awful start, okay? That is not at all what we were hoping for. Actually, I mean, I'm not even going to call it an awful start. I would just say the first half was bad. The score at the end of the first half, I think it was 31-10. It wasn't necessarily an awful start. We moved the ball. You know, we missed opportunities early. We had a fumble. We didn't score on that. You know, it's 14-10 at one point. So it wasn't like awful right out of the gate. But at the same time, the first half score was not at all where you would like it to be. Talking about a team that did have a preseason this year in San Francisco that has historically come out kind of slow in week 1 offensively. They didn't come out slow at all. They were ready to go. And those issues that we know that run offense has posed for other teams in the past, well, it showed up for us today. But I will give the Lions credit. I think there was definitely some adjustments, and there were visible adjustments. There were visible adjustments that you could see coming out in the second half to help against this run, and also in the back end a little bit as well. So I will talk about that. But of course, 31-10, you're in a terrible spot. But as Jared Goff said after the game, the Lions showed what they were about. They fought back.
It was really good. Again, I think you find out who we are, and it's not a moral victory, and it's not something that we're necessarily proud of, but it is something that is good to know.
And I got a shout out to every single one of the fans that were in there from the Lions side. Those dudes that stuck around. We were down. We were getting smacked. We're down 28 points. It's 38-10. But they hung around because you just never know. And we didn't make it happen. Okay, I mean, a loss is a loss. We could have lost by 50. We could have lost like we did by 8. You lost the game, so it's still going to count as 0-1. But there was a lot of heart in this team. They fought, and it reminded me a lot of that Dan Campbell, that speech that he gave us this offseason. We're going to get knocked down. We got knocked down big time. We got smacked to the ground in that first half. But we did get back up, and we took a kneecap, and we just kept coming. San Francisco 49ers just could not put us away. And I think there was a lot to learn from this, just from the initial eye test, just my feelings from this game. So I want to run through the good and the bad that I took away from this game initially. First off, we got to give a little shout out here to Jeff Okuda because I've heard that he is, you know, the scare is an Achilles injury. I saw him kind of just sitting there on the ground. There was a lot of people dealing with injuries in this game. I don't know if it was the turf. I don't know if it's because it was in beginning of the season. I mean, some guys had the wind knocked out of them. It looked like Derek Barnes. I don't know all the official injuries because, you know, we don't get to hear from the announcers. But I know there was a lot of injuries going on. But I know specifically Jeff Okuda, the fear of an Achilles injury. Obviously, that could be super serious. I believe he did exit the game after that injury. So that is extremely concerning. I know the clip went pretty popular of him getting chewed out by Aubrey Pleasant off to the sideline. And you know what? I want to talk about that. I think that showed you kind of the heart of this team is that a guy, Aubrey Pleasant, he's always happy every time you hear him talk to him. He's like, I'm going to kind of go away during the game. He was losing it on the sideline with Jeff Okuda. And I believe that came after that big touchdown grab that he allowed on a 3rd and long. I don't know exactly when it took place. I think that's when it took place. It looked like he was saying, you know, do your job. And he was losing it. You know, he was in Okuda's face. He was yelling. But at the same time, what did Okuda do after that? Well, he bounced back. He bounced back. He had the pass breakup. He bounced back after that play. So clearly it had the right results, but it's unfortunate he's dealing with injury. So hoping that you get better soon, Jeff Okuda. I don't know officially what he's dealing with, but I know there is a scare for an Achilles injury that, of course, could be extremely serious when you're talking about can he come back this season. And that's terrible news after last year, the injury that he dealt with, the rough season that he had. We're hoping for a bounce back this season. So to have that kind of news is just awful. We'll keep an eye on that, though, and we'll see where that goes from here. So good and bad that I took away. Let's kind of dive into this individually. I mean, the first overall overarching good thing that I took away is that there was a lot of fight in this team. And just fight in this team, it was the heart, and you saw it from the coaching staff, and it trickled down to the players. There was a lot to learn from that. And DoseOfDion pointed out a ton of times. The fact that Dan Campbell, I think we were down by 3 or 4 scores at this time. We're from like our own 20-yard line. Okay, it's a 4th and short, yes. But most teams in that situation are punting the game away. The game, it doesn't look like you're coming back. They punt the ball away. You know, they don't want to give them another touchdown. But Dan Campbell's like, forget it. We're going for it. We're going for it. We were getting smacked at that point in the game. And he was like, I'm going to keep you on the field, and you're going to get me a dang yard. It came after a drop to Jason Kabinda. And they picked up the first. And I actually think they ended up scoring a touchdown on that drive. Either way, it kind of showed you the heart of, no, we're going to keep fighting. We're not going to go out like this. We're not going to get smacked and sit down, put our backups in, and just, okay, it happened. We're going to keep fighting. And as unlikely as it may be, we're going to keep fighting and fighting. And like Campbell said, we're going to get knocked down, and we're going to come up, and we're going to bite a kneecap. And we're going to bite your other kneecap. And that's what I felt like they did in this game. They just kept fighting and fighting. And as ugly as it was in the first half, as terrible of a hole it was they got themselves in, they did come back and they battled and they battled and battled. And that is the part that I did like, was that approach to it. They just kept fighting and fighting and fighting. They didn't throw their backups in. Remember what happened in Patricia's debut when we lost to the Jets and we got down big time, and it was like, okay, backup quarterback comes in, you're getting smacked, it was a wrap. And things, you know, that they didn't show the same fight. This team at least showed fight in this game. And honestly, you know, you may say, oh, it was just garbage time. We were at the 24-yard line with 30 seconds and a first down. You legitimately had a shot to tie this game and force overtime. So I don't want to hear the garbage stat stuff, because you literally were in a spot to potentially push this game to overtime. And that brings me to my second, I would say, positive takeaway from this. Jared Goff. Jared Goff, from the eye test alone, Jared Goff is that dude for the Lions. Jared Goff showed me in this game that we can move forward with Jared Goff. Okay, now it's a long season, but a tough defense. Your back's against the wall. Pass rush coming at you, and we'll get to the offense line in a second, because some of those dudes did step up, definitely big time. But back against the wall, obviously you're not in a good spot. You're getting smacked. You're getting booed at halftime. Jared Goff stayed composed, poised. Did he take a lot of dump offs? Yeah, he took a lot of dump offs. Made some passes there to the end. Rob was just like, oh my goodness, that was a dot. That pass that he threw to Khalif Raymond to put us at the 24 was beautiful. I'm standing there, I'm like, oh gosh, he's going to pick it off. It went right over the linebacker's hands, right in the bucket. It was so pretty. And I just love the fight. Scrambling, you know, getting out of bounds, staying poised in the pocket, waiting till the very last second to get the ball off, to try to make something happen. And we missed some opportunities. You had the Cephas, who, by the way, surprised the heck out of me in this game. He balled. When he was called upon, he balled out. Down the left sideline, great catch, but unfortunately it's called back. I think Goff, as the game went on, the accuracy improved big time. He was throwing some very accurate passes. He was taking shots. It seemed like he was a little bit out of rhythm early. It just seemed like he was a little inaccurate early. Maybe that's because he didn't play much in the preseason. Maybe that's because he had that much time off, and DoseOfDion pointed it out, and that could definitely be the case in comparison to a team like the Niners, who played in week 3 of the preseason, who had Jimmy Garoppolo out there. I think that we picked it up as the game went on, but Jared Goff in particular was one of those guys that I definitely think picked it up. I believe in Goff. Goff showed me in this game that we can go forward and we can win a lot of games with Jared Goff. Jared Goff did what I thought that he would do, you know, take dump offs, take what was there. When the pocket was clean, he could play. Obviously, he came out a little inaccurate. It was like, okay, that's not good. He missed the pass to St. Brown in the end zone, but as the game went on, he locked in. He was way more accurate, and this was the guy you could tell just going forward, this is the dude, he can be the guy for us going forward. Jared Goff, we're okay here. That's not our issue. That was what was so impressed with me. A guy that struggled against San Francisco, that battled and battled and battled. Say whatever you want about garbage stats, we were 24 yards away from forcing overtime, right? And you had 30 seconds. That's not garbage time. That's legitimate shot to tie this game. Let's take on the offense for a second, because there was good. As bad as it was, there was good. We missed opportunities early. Go forward on 4th down early. I think this was the first drive. Jamal Williams slips. I don't know if he would have got the first if he didn't slip, but he slips, and it's a turnover on down. San Francisco gets the ball. Guess what? They fumble. Now, you like to punch this in here. You miss some passes. You have a field goal attempt. Not the easy field goal attempt, but for all cyber, he misses a kick. So you have 2 missed opportunities right away to start this game off. So the offense right there, and we were talking about, I don't even think we punted in the first half. I think we did like right at the end of the first half, but we didn't really punt. Like, we were consistently moving the ball. We just missed opportunities early. Offense definitely settled in. And one good thing that we could take away, all the hype was we're going to be able to run the football. Anthony Lynn knows how to run the football. He's a great run game coach. You got Deuce Staley. You got the running backs. You have the line minus Taylor Decker. We're going to be able to run the ball. And today we saw we could run the football. And this is not like we went and got some scrubs here. This team ran the ball, and these weren't garbage stats. These were legit stats. We were gashing this defense. Jamal showed out. The energy was there, of course. We had some negative plays, but this team ran the ball. 88 rush yards in the first half. Now, that was 3 less than the Niners, which was a big issue. But 88, I'm like, what? If this game was close, if we could have got some stops, took advantage of some opportunities, we could have ran the ball throughout the game, but we had to go away from it. The amount of attempts we had was nowhere near where it should have been for the success that we were having, the efficiency that we're having. Knock I would give offensively, I think we had way too many negative plays. I think there were some where it really pulled our drives back, where we have a negative play trying to hit something to the outside or a screen with not great blocking, and we get ourselves second and third and long, and that, I think, hurt some drives. But definitely, I think Swifty and Swaggy is a thing. All right, that's like our own Thunder Lightning. It's like what Michigan has with Swift and Jamal. That hype is legit. I see why they have nicknames for themselves. Let's keep it rolling. But that screen to Swift, you could see it open up. And when Swift was one-on-one safety, you were like, dude, he's got to make a miss. You saw it open up. Everybody's standing up, and you're just like, he just got to make that dude miss. And he cuts inside, you're like, yeah, you made a miss. One last note about this offense. Even though we had some negative plays, I think there was some creativeness to Anthony Lynn, his running style. Like, we know his rushing scheme, but he did things creatively to try to help open up this run game. We saw the end around, which almost got bad, but it worked. Tight end screens, the running back screens, the halfback draw to start the game. Like, we did things to slow down this rush that we talked about. You know, Jamal and Swift both had 8 receptions each, so I like some of the scheme that he had against their defense. That Niners were the best at getting after a quarterback, collapsing the pocket, having these other things that they had to worry about, the end arounds, draws to slow them down. I thought that was very smart, and you could tell that he had a game plan for this. We'll see what his game plan looks like next week against Green Bay. You can do it. The scheme works. And that brings me to the offensive line. Shout out to Penei Sewell. For a guy that went to right tackle, left tackle, he looked really lock solid. I don't know the PFF grades. All I can tell you is from the eye test. Sewell did his thing. I don't remember Bosa, going off on him. I remember like one missed block where he tried to kind of cut block inside and he missed it, and Bosa was able to blow up a run play. But for the most part, for a guy going back to another spot, even though he did in college and he was a beast there, he looked pretty darn good. Matt Nelson, on the other hand, he didn't look so fantastic in the first half. Matt Nelson had some struggles, and I think he got going as the second half went on. But at the same time, he's your backup right tackle, so I guess it makes sense. He did struggle early. I thought, he gave up a sack. We saw, the pick 6 that Goff threw, which he said, I can't throw. You can't throw that in a 2-minute drill, right? I mean, that went from being like, okay, we're not in a good spot, to being like, oh my gosh, we are in a really bad spot. 21-10 is a big difference between 28-10. Plus, then at the end of the half, they get a field goal to add on that. 31-10. That's a completely different game than an 11-point game going in a half. So that's huge. But I think some of that ball was thrown off. He's like, that's not where I meant to throw it. I think some of that he got hit and thrown it. So he came out struggled. He had the holding penalty, which of course stopped the clock for the other team. So he came out struggled, but I do think he picked it up. But regardless, the point is, without Decker, the team can run the football, and that's exciting. I can't remember the last time we had that. The hype was about it, and they showed they could against a good run defense. That was very, very promising, assuming they're a good run defense this year, because they probably will be. They probably will be. TJ Hawkinson, the guy lived up to what we thought he would be. He was Goff's favorite target, of course, and he made the most of every opportunity. The run after catch, scoring the touchdown, the reliable, to work back to the football on the sideline. Hawk was everything we hoped that he would be in this game. So I'll give Hawk that credit. One ball may have went through his hands, but it wasn't super accurate. And again, that was Goff early. He was missing some passes, but he did dial in. So there was good there. There was definitely good. Cephas stood up big time. Khalif had his catch. He saw the connection come by later. I don't know what was going on with Tyrell. He must have been dealing with something. They said it. I don't know what it was. But I was like, why is Tyrell not out there? Like, having Tyrell would have been great in that situation. I felt like the receivers got going as the game went on. Like, that Khalif Raymond catch on the sideline was just beautiful. It was just about giving them opportunities, getting in those spots. And, man, Goff was laying some dimes, giving guys chances on the sideline, and they were making plays. I think the trust factor between Cephas and Goff specifically, but some of these guys are going to build after this game for Goff because now he knows he can trust him in a game situation. That he had in the end zone for the 2-point conversion was beautiful. The play designs were really nice on those 2-point tries to be successful twice in a row. That's really not easy to do. We didn't have Hodge. He was a scratch for this game, probably because he hasn't been there a ton. And we didn't see Trinity get involved a ton because it's kind of new. And even Goff said, you know, it's going to be nice to have a whole new week to work with these guys, you know, and get them involved in this offense to figure out who we're going forward with. And hopefully whatever he's dealing with is not super serious because it would be nice to have Tyrell, especially in that spot. It would be great to have him. Now, we talk about the other side of the football, and this is where things, you know, really got out really slow. And the worst nightmare was this run game. It was. And it wasn't even Raheem Mostert. It was Elijah Mitchell. But regardless, it's the scheme. To me, it's not even all about the players. Mitchell's a good running back. I liked him coming out of draft, regardless of what round he got taken. Motions, the zone rushing attack, the teams have just not found success to stop. Usually beat themselves, and it was ugly. It was, no other way to put it, it was ugly. Their time possession was low because they were scoring just like that. And then you talk about the pass game. Play actions were out of spots. Guys aren't following players. We're undisciplined. We're following, you know, the eye candy. And you got guys wide open in pass coverage. I don't know what we were doing. I'll have to dive into the film. But guys are wide open. There's chunk plays, play action. I mean, it was disgusting. We're getting chunks on top of chunks on top of chunks. And it was what you fear, but at the same time, we just didn't show resistance. We didn't show adjustments. And that was until the second half. And yes, maybe they have lightened up a little bit, sure. But I will argue this, their second half defense was much better. Was it great? Not at all. But it was much better. We weren't getting stuffs in the first half. Like, we had a few in the second half. McNeil played well. Give credit to Ali McNeil as well. And I would love to see a Levi. Hopefully we get him next week. That would be great. The guy that you invest in the second round to have him out there, a guy that played well in the preseason, that would be fantastic. The pass rush, it was kind of here in flashes, but you really couldn't get them in a spot where it was like an obvious pass on. And then when you did, someone was usually running free. Walker really struggled in man coverage against George Kittle, really struggled. But in the second half, there were adjustments, and they were visible. That's what I loved. Walker playing in the box, Will playing in the box, playing one safety deep instead of the split safeties deep, moving Jamie Collins to outside linebacker on some possessions. Derek Barnes got in the mix. You saw adjustments, and it was like, okay, at least they're trying something different. And while it wasn't perfect, there was some success. We got him in passing downs. I mean, if you think about the second half, we gave up 31 in the first half. Part of that was a pick six. But the second half, I mean, think about it. This was their only scoring. They had a 51-yard field goal, okay? And I think that was on a short field. And they had a bomb on 3rd and 9. Where Okuda, I thought he was in spots. Obviously, that was when we yelled at him, whatever. But he didn't make a play on the football. He needs to make that play on the ball. But I did like that he bounced back. But that was all of their scoring. Now, sure, they probably pull up a little bit, maybe. But like I said, you're 30 seconds, 24 yards away from potentially tying the game. I don't think they completely put their foot off the gas. There were run stops that there were in the first half. We were shutting down some of those runs. There were adjustments that were clearly made. Was it great? Not at all. But when you get yourself in that spot, you have to be basically perfect to come back. And that's where you can't get. So I think coaching, there was players that were undisciplined. There were players out of spots. There's guys running free. I didn't love that they had T-Walk on Kittle. It wasn't working. I would love to see Iffy get that matchup, but they didn't do it. I think there were some adjustments they could have made in the first half that they didn't. But I do like the fact that you could visibly see adjustments in the second half and that they at least tried something new. And the defense did come along a little bit. And it was like, okay, we at least gave ourselves a chance. And then special teams, they never gave up. To get an onside back, obviously that's rare, but you did it. To get a stop, you need a 3 and out. Okay, he probably could have had a first down. But Trey Flowers, you pay the guy $90 million. Do something. I thought he stepped up in the second half. I saw him get some run stuffs, making some hits. Then he forces a fumble. It's like, dude, that's why we pay you. We need you to step up. There was a play in the second half where you could see Trey Flowers taking the, tight end in the flat and sticking on that route and forcing the quarterback to go to his second read. Now, the middle of the field, the coverage there, where we knew he liked to throw the ball, was not very good. I'll have to look at the film for this. I can't tell you about that test. I don't know if it's zone, if it was man. It wasn't very good, but Amani did, make some plays against some slants. There was adjustments. They were lining out Romeo very wide in the second half, and they were having a safety slide down. He was playing really wide to set the edge, so they made some changes. So, safeties led in tackles because they were gashing us. Like we said, they were going to be super important. It was every level, though. D-line needed to get more push. Linebackers need to be more disciplined. Safeties need to be better. We missed too many tackles. The first half in all was just ugly. But I do like that there was adjustments. And that run game that we feared, it killed us in the first half. I mean, it really did. And the missing opportunities didn't help us stay in it. But I was impressed. There were good things to take away. And really what makes us feel all better is that the NFC North is losing. Now, I'm about to watch this Bears game. But you have the Vikings who lost. Great. The Packers got mollywopped. And we're going to play them next week. If the Bears lose, we're all 0-1. And as ugly as it may be, you can't lose 2 games in a week. You only can lose 1. So do like the heart. Campbell was who you thought he was, and I love that. Campbell, the guy who's going to say all this stuff, he backed it up. We're going for it on 4th and short. And that was right off the bat. That wasn't just, oh, the game's over. No, that was first drive. We're going forward on 4th and short. Like, you knew what you thought Campbell would be, and he was that guy. He was that guy. And the Aubrey Pleasant thing, I mean, I like it because, you know, oh, don't yell at your player. But, dude, I mean, yeah, Aubrey Pleasant, he's a fantastic defensive back coach. This guy knows what he's doing. I'm going to trust him because Okuda has struggled, and he gave up a big play. Aubrey Pleasant, I trust him. I'm going to trust him to figure it out. And guess what? Okuda bounced back. And I hope he's better. I hope he does get better. And I think Amani bounced back. He made some plays on some of those slants. Look, the pass game never scared me, but the run game was killing us. So it was like it didn't even matter. Everything was wide open. The discipline was all out of whack. But there were improvements. Guys bounced back, and Okuda specifically bounced back even after getting yelled at. But I like it. He showed a side of Aubrey Pleasant I didn't know there was. But I can tell you what, there's results. There's results with him. So I'm going to trust that he's going to figure out how to make this thing right. And you know what? When you're getting smacked and you're getting blown out, I want to see that. I don't want to see a team lay down, oh, well, you know, we're getting smacked. It's like, okay, put the backups in. Okuda, you're okay. No. We're getting really dog walked out here. I want to see the emotion, man. I think we learned a lot in this game. I think we learned that Goff can be the guy going forward. I loved what I saw to Goff. I was very, very pleased with what I saw to Goff. Obviously, he came out slow, and that was not great. But the Goff that we expected was Goff. But at the same time, he battled. And he threw some passes at the end that were just beautiful. I mean, he threw some dimes, man. He took chances. I was very impressed with his composure against the pressure. Very impressed with Jared Goff in this game. Is he perfect? Not at all, because he came out very, very poor. And he threw the pick six, and he knows he can't do that. But I was impressed because I think when you take away week 1 takeaways from the eye test alone, you can tell that Goff can be the guy going forward. So, and Jerry Jacobs, he stood out press and special teams. I got to give some credit. But I predicted the win. Did not think the score would be at all like this. I predicted the win. I was going there. I had to do it. But I knew it was going to be tough. I mean, the battle was, I mean, he had to stop this rush offense is something that teams just don't do. So the fact that at least we made adjustments is what impressed me. Standing tall on 4th downs when the offense would go for it. I mean, stopping Trey Lance when he came into the game in the second half. I mean, there were still opportunities for them to really put us away, and they didn't really go for it on 4th like they could have. But in some of those 3rd and short, 4th and short opportunities, first off, we barely had those in the first half. But when we did, we weren't getting off the field. We got off the field in the second half. And even in the first half, it's not like we didn't know they were running the ball. You knew coming in. Everyone in the world knew coming in they're going to run the football at you. It's can you stop it? And first half they couldn't. Second half they did much better. The first half was ugly. And some of that goes on personnel, players not making plays, missing tackles, not being disciplined. Guys, you guys have to make plays at some point. But also the coaching staff. It goes on preparation. And it wasn't there. It clearly was not all there week 1. Right? It wasn't all prepared. They weren't all ready to go. Maybe that's a lack of preseason. Whatever it may be, they weren't completely prepared. And that showed up. But I do like the fact that at least they show visible adjustments. Offensively, Goff started to click. The run game is legit. Now we just need to be in a spot where we can run the ball. Look at how the Saints smacked them, right? The Saints smacked the Packers because they could. They didn't beat themselves. They took advantage of opportunities. They don't give up 4 straight touchdown drives. You can run on these teams. And the Lions showed you today that they can run the football. Beat teams this season. Okay, but it's about that defense, and that's going to be the spot for the next week is how do they bounce back? Build off of that second half where they looked much better. So we'll dive into the film and all that stuff this week, but honestly, man, it was one of the most entertaining losses because it was just like, holy cow, might be the best comeback of all time. I loved the heart, though. Obviously, there's so much to clean up. Feel the energy. I feel the passion. I feel the want to. They will not sleep until this team figures it out. Campbell will not sleep until this figures it out. I feel that coming off of him. I think this thing is going to turn around. I think they're going to be all right. I'm excited to see what next week looks like. But obviously, a lot of things need to be fixed, and we'll dive more into the specifics when we get to the film. But today, hey, it's football day. Check out this Rams game. Root for the Rams. If they knock off the Bears, we're all 0-1. And next week, we'll be playing for the top of the division with the Packers. What else could you ask for? Your thoughts in the comments below. Thank you, Pride, for watching. Shout out to the people that saw me and said, what's up, man. I appreciate you guys. The support is amazing. And shout out to the Lions for hooking their guy up, man. I appreciate it. I'll see y'all Monday Night Football. I'm actually going to see you tomorrow. Thank you for watching, and I'm out.